Welcome to this week's Movie Math, where it seems the odds are less in Katniss Everdeen's favor than before. Yes, in a dramatic turn of events sure to delight President Snow, Mockingjay Part 1 came in a startling $30 million below both The Hunger Games and Catching Fire. While someone picks Lionsgate up off the floor, let's consider the possible reasons for such a decline in interest. 1. The weather outside is frightful. Yes, the best of the worst is that audiences were simply snowed in this weekend as the Northeast, a strong movie-going region, found itself under an unusually heavy blanket of snow. 2. Two-parter fatigue. People have been very vocal about seeing Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2 as a pure cash grab from Lionsgate, one they weren't going to encourage by buying a ticket. Is this Hollywood trend over before it even really started? Kevin Feige's got to be a little nervous after announcing Avengers 3 Infinity War as a two-parter, but maybe he can combat a backlash by avoiding our next reason. 3. Not enough action. Yes, due to reviews, word got out early that Mockingjay Part 1 involved a lot of talking. Boo! This is similar to what happened with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where early reviews and an advanced release overseas warned audiences here in the US that the movie was not good. Now, some people like myself think all the talking in Mockingjay Part 1 is pretty fascinating, and some people liked The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but many are simply not willing to take the risk with their hard-earned money, especially with so many other movies set to debut before the year is done. 4. A lot of those reviews also said Mockingjay was more than just talky, it was not a good movie. Mockingjay Part 1 is currently at 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, whereas the two previous films were in the 80s. Then finally 5. Jennifer Lawrence fatigue? After being heavily used to promote X-Men Days of Future Past, perhaps the casual Jennifer Lawrence fan needs a bit of a break. Or maybe those photographs being leaked did have an effect? Now sure, Mockingjay Part 1 can still boast the biggest box office debut of the year to date, and it pulled in a strong $152 million overseas, where it was able to match Catching Fire's performance. Interestingly, the strong political overtones for the film might have played well with foreign audiences, while, as some of you pointed out over Twitter this weekend as we discussed the film's developing box office numbers, American audiences go to the movies to escape those kinds of topics, at least with blockbusters. And speaking of politics, don't forget that China has delayed Mockingjay Part 1's release date until next year, if they agree to release it at all. These decreased numbers might make it easier for them to pass on the flick, as there's no huge demand to point to. And not playing in China would dash any hopes of Mockingjay Part 1 joining the billion-dollar club. Heck, it's already trailing Catching Fire, and that fell about 150 short of $1 billion. Franchises are supposed to go up, not down. And while Mockingjay Part 2 will definitely hit theaters next year, it's already in the can, what does this mean for the Hunger Games franchise long term? While investors still want to back a theme park as interest in the franchise seems to have already peaked, this debut could very well be the death knell for Lionsgate's future plans, which have been aggressive and expansive. And with rumors that Lawrence's mystique will be front and center for X-Men Apocalypse, maybe in the wake of these depreciating numbers, Fox and Bryan Singer might want to reconsider. Maybe Lawrence herself might want to reconsider and focus more on smaller films like her upcoming Joy with David O. Russell, as well as maybe decrease her tabloid presence. What do you think is the main reason The Hunger Games backslid so prominently with its third entry? Elsewhere in the box office, Big Hero 6 continued to be just out of reach for Interstellar, yet both have pulled far out ahead of most of their competition. And Interstellar is another Hollywood film relying heavily on overseas box office, which right now is actually outperforming Gravity and Inception. Whether it can match those films' final overseas numbers or domestic ones remains to be seen, but it's definitely a silver lining to what's become a bit of a dark cloud for Nolan. Last weekend's new entries, Dumb and Dumber 2 and Beyond the Lights, not only both fell dramatically but posted the biggest drops in the top 10. The only other pick to have crossed the century mark in the top 10 is Gone Girl, which is up to $327 million worldwide. That's extremely impressive for a film which cost just $60 million to make, and it will become David Fincher's highest-grossing film any day now. With Interstellar failing to wow critics, don't be surprised if Gone Girl benefits, as the Academy looks for an audience favorite to include in their expanded nominations. Speaking of awards flicks, Birdman held steady in terms of theater count but dropped a little with its box office. Don't expect it to expand much further until it has some award nominations to boast. But The Theory of Everything added another 100 theaters and shot into the top 10. Focus is growing that Oscar contender quite nicely. In contrast, Rosewater got hit hard its second weekend, falling 50% despite playing in limited release. Looks like Jon Stewart, director, isn't going to be the next phase of his career after all. Whiplash is also having a hard time getting any traction, while Foxcatcher is down, but at least not out. Both those films are from Sony Pictures Classics, which might want to take a hard look at their publicity department, as those are two stellar films which deserve to perform a little bit better, especially out of the gate. Hopefully their awards campaigners are more on point. As for this coming weekend, every single picture will hope for a holiday boost over the Thanksgiving weekend, with 2 new films joining the fray. Mockingjay Part 1 should almost certainly hold on to the #1 spot, but Big Hero 6 and Interstellar might find their hold on the #2 and 3 spots shaken by Penguins of Madagascar and Horrible Bosses 2. The Imitation Game will also debut in just 4 theaters, hoping to make a big splash in the specialty market. It's already making headlines in Alan Turing's native UK, where it pulled in $4.2 million its opening weekend. That's quite high for the UK, allowing it to debut in 2nd place behind only Interstellar in its 2nd weekend. And that's the weekend box office. I'm Grace Randolph, and we just did some movie math. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope we'll go beyond the trailer for these other top movies.